SEDA and SIFA, executives, officials, beneficiaries, and all media present here today, good evening. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to the SONA 2020 Commitments Feedback on 1,000 Business in 100 Days. Our formal sitting today marks the passage of almost 12 months of the 2020 State of the Nation address by our Honorable President, where certain commitments were made. 12 months of sincere collaboration and cooperative spirits among the National Youth Development Agency and the Department of Small Business Development, together with all its agencies. Colleagues, you will remember that on the 13th February 2020, during that State of the Nation address, our Honorable President Ramaphosa committed amongst many things to confront the crisis of youth unemployment. The proposed solution to this crisis was going to be two-pronged: to create opportunities for youth employment and self-employment. As part of this intervention, the National Youth Development Agency and the Department of Small Business Development committed to provide grant funding and business support to 1,000 young entrepreneurs in the next 100 days. Today, we will hear in detail how the intervention has fared. It's common knowledge that youth unemployment has reached crisis levels in South Africa. According to Statistics South Africa, 2.5 million young people aged between 15 to 34 were unemployed in South Africa in the first and the second quarter of 2020. Youth unemployment rate was 34.1%. This is according to the narrow definition, which only accounts for people who took active steps to look for work. When we looked at the expanded definition, the number is significantly higher. We are looking at 55.2%. How do these figures compare to other countries? We are considered a country with the worst levels of unemployment rates. The International Labour Organization, a United Nations agency which calculates annual unemployment statistics for 189 countries, territories, and areas of the world, their estimates provide data on youth aged from 15 to 24. Data for 2020 shows South Africa has the highest unemployment rate for this age group. Neighboring Namibia, Eswatini, and Botswana ranked in 3rd, 7th, and 9th place, respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to turn the tide of youth unemployment in South Africa. The two-pronged approach that our Honorable President mentioned at last year's State of the Nation address must work for us. In fact, you will hear from the speakers, ladies and gentlemen, that it has somehow worked for us. I'm comforted that even in the midst of the pandemic, some progress was made in this area. The two-pronged approach is showing some progress. I'm thrilled that we have the Honorable Minister today to talk briefly on the department's role in this initiative, to talk briefly about our TREP programs and what has happened to the youth, how has it impacted the youth. I'm excited that we have Mr. Karim from the NYDA to share in detail the progress made in this regard, but my greatest exhilaration is reserved to the beneficiaries themselves, our VIPs, the entrepreneurs, our future, who will share their experience with all of us. It's a jam-packed session that hopefully gives all of us a little something to celebrate in the midst of the bad news we have to deal with on a daily basis. Ladies and gentlemen, they say every road must come to an end. Mine was just to do the introduction and to welcome you all to this shared session. Thank you so much for your attention. Now let me welcome back the Program Director, Mr. Mkhumani, who will introduce our Honorable Minister Ntshavheni. I thank you. Mr. Mkhumani, over to you. Mr. Mkhumani?
He doesn't want the minister introduced, but because it's not a job of the DG to introduce a minister, so you must call upon the minister, Chairperson.
No, thank you very much, Minister. I'm just following the program and what it had entailed as somebody introducing the minister. So it is my greatest pleasure, Minister, to welcome you on this session. Over to you. I think everybody knows a lot about our minister, and I had not prepared, and I know you actually don't like long introductions, so I'll hand over to you, the minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joy Ndlovu, the chairperson of SEDA. On my part, I will not, if I have to be introduced so many months or so many years after I've been appointed minister, it will mean that I must be fired from my job as minister. At this point, I should have earned my profile in the streets of small business support. So the attendants in this meeting, the participants should know me by now. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, the Deputy Minister for the Department of Small Business Development, Mazoleka Kapa, and Wasim, the CEO of the NYDA, the CEO of SEDA, acting, Ms. Ntokozo Majola, the CEO of SIFA, Mr. Nkolisi Machamba, the Acting Director General of the Department, Mr. Lindokuhle Mkhumane, and distinguished guests, and to our VIP participants. It's indeed almost 12 months since that announcement that the President made and committed us to support 1,000 SMMEs in 100 days. And the people ask, why are we reporting back only now, more than almost 365 days later, Wasim? It's because we then got interrupted by the pandemic and we could not report back. But the work was done within 1,000 days. But as we speak with you today, my performance agreement, which is the performance agreement of both the Deputy Minister, the department, and the agency, we have been tasked with the responsibility of supporting at least 15,000 startup businesses by the year 2024. And Dr. Ndlovu referred to the high unemployment rate in our country. I would wish to rephrase it differently, that by 2024, we should no longer be referring to a high unemployment rate of young people in this country. We should be reporting back about high economic participation of young people in the economy of this country. Because unlike our parents and our forefathers who were trained to be job seekers, we have a responsibility to train and support job creators, because an inclusive economy is an economy where South African young people are no longer job seekers, but the creators of jobs for their peers and also for themselves. And if you look globally, economies that have advanced, more especially in this age of the digital technology and the fourth industrial revolution, are economies that have been driven by startups. People forget that Jack Ma, not so long ago, was owning one of the largest startups. Facebook was another startup. Google was another startup. I can go a number in terms of the number of startups that have been that have driven economies of the world, and now they've become giant companies. But they've done that because there's been a focused and a policy emphasis by their own governments in supporting startups, but also in adopting the technologies or the business models that those startups generate. I tend to wonder often that if Elon Musk, a renowned South African American, was in South Africa, he would be this successful or this celebrated. As government, we continue to work on ensuring that our environment is conducive for business. But we have to start changing the focus on the environment being conducive for business. They get the necessary environment, but also they get the necessary support. Our partnership with the NYDA is not starting only on this initiative. Our partnership with the NYDA goes back to a number of projects, including the Bright Cafes that we initiated together with the NYDA, and we envisaged them to be the first Black youth-owned franchise arrangement that could be done. It's a pity that even today, as we report about the support to the 1,000 businesses that was done within the 100 days from the 13th of February 2020, that the Bright Cafes in the Western Cape are still taking up slow, but it's good that at least they have been a take-up. So as we speak with the CEO of the NYDA sharing the podium today, I'm hoping the work that you're going to do, you'll then give also a focused support to the Bright Cafes that we had committed that within this term of office, we'll make sure that the first franchisees of the NYDA, of the Bright Cafes, indeed take course. Our support for startups is not limited to the 1,000 days as I've indicated, and it's equally not limited to the 15,000 targets that we have. Our support for startups is driven by our commitment to make sure that the generations of young people of today become very successful. We have said as a department and together with the NYDA and our agencies that our focus on startups cannot just be all over. We were starting, but we needed to improve. We had to start somewhere. We had to focus on what was possible. So there were particular sectors that were focused on, and predominantly is the sectors that young people were active on. The sectors include construction, marketing, car repairs, poultry farming, health and beauty, fashion, event management, and catering. But I'd like to challenge the NYDA as we continue to partner in making sure that at least 15,000, and the emphasis is on at least 15,000 startups are supported by year 2024. We must now support young people in businesses that we call high-risk businesses, such as the technology innovation, the digital businesses that they are involved in, and other avenues where young people are moving the barriers, but with little support because our support tends to be risk-averse. We need to be bold enough in our support for startups to take more risk and allow young people to experiment. Of course, it's not only one funding that will work. I'm glad that the CEO of CIFA